Welcome to the Craig and Greg Show, presented by Maximize Leadership. Here are Craig Owens and Greg Harris.
Hey, welcome to the Craig and Greg Show. I'm Craig. This is Greg. We're really glad that you're here. Hey, Greg, what's new?
Ooh, nice lead in. I like it.
You like how I subtly just kind of...
I wasn't subtle at all. No, it was just blatant. It was blatant. The bantering stopped and the blatant started.
That's
yeah.
right.
So many of America, for those listening not in a particular state, got a little cold spell. So what's new is springtime's around the corner.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like it. So Puxatony Phil said, forget that. I'm going back in.
Yeah.
We'll go where it's warm.
I know. He saw the shadow, right? This year, I
think he saw more than a shadow. Yeah, I think he was worried about seeing like Bill Murray or somebody.
Oh.
So, yeah, you never know. So anyway, so what's new? I think that's the challenge for us leaders is new is very threatening. It's the unknown.
Yep.
Does it include me? A lot of questions go on for leaders where they kind of like it the way it was,
Yes.
but they know if they've set goals like all leaders do, we want to get from A to B. I can't stay in the old way, and that's not easy, is it?
That's right. And it bothers me when I have people that I would consider to be leaders that when I ask them that question, or maybe you don't ask the question blatantly, hey, what's new? But when they're talking, you're sitting there going, this seems like Groundhog Day. It seems like we're having the same conversation now that we had like 3 months ago. Is there really nothing new happening in your life? But, you've talked before about ruts that people get stuck in. And, that was an episode that you should go back and watch.
Hint, hint.
And so we don't have to, recap all of that again. But I think that's people get so comfortable with what they're doing that they don't even realize that, I haven't taken on any new challenges yet.
No. And I think the other part, there's fear involved with change,
sure.
which we can get to in a little bit. But because every leader is, free from fear, right?
No, absolutely.
Not. But I think the one part you said about comfort, I think it's really catchy. Like I want to be comfortable, but that's not where you grow. And that's what we love about this leadership lesson today is about growing. It isn't about, establishment or settlement or, a rut or comfortable. And for us leaders who have gone through change, some we've seen occur and we jumped in, and other times it happened to us.
Right.
And then we had to adjust or prepare for it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of a story where you look at a leader and they're like, I like where I'm at. I really don't want to change anything. Things are going good, So the caterpillar, she thought it was the end of her life. And then later on, she learned to fly. But we don't really know that fly experience. Yep. We're just used to being a caterpillar. And that's somewhat of an analogy for leadership where is there better after this? And how do we get there without giving up what we thought was important to us, which I think is one of our leadership snares or traps is, I have to give up something.
Well, don't you think some people think, what if this is the best that it's ever going to be?
Yeah.
And so they're trying to bottle it up. Mm-hmm. But what I've learned, and I love this, my wife being a school teacher, one of the things that she is constantly pressing her students on is this idea of the growth mindset.
Yeah.
So when kids are like, I don't know how to do this, her response is always, you don't know how to do this yet. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think a lot of times people, they look at something new and they go, but what I'm doing right now, I know how to do.
Right.
That new thing, I don't know how to do it. And we need to put that word in there, yet. And so, but what is, a lot of times I think, and you and I have talked about this a lot, that people start imagining, like if they're going to try something new, they start calculating, well, what would be the worst thing that could happen? And then they're trying to decide whether they could play the odds or not, and going, instead of, why don't we flip it around and say, what's the best that could happen?
Right.
Because I like John Maxwell had a book. The title of the book, I think, is a great growth mindset. He said, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn.
Yep.
And so, but you're never going to learn anything if you just stay where you are.
No.
You got to try something.
Well, I think part of it requires a little risk. And I think for some leaders who maybe took risk already, right? Maybe they financed their home to continue the payroll for their company as they just started it, or entrepreneurs, or you're kind of on a women in prayer kind of budget, et cetera. And so whether you're a big company or a small company or you're on your own, you're all leaders. And I think that's the encouragement is you're all leaders and you're all going to face change.
Yes.
So I think one of the growth mindset I like to challenge myself with, and I'll challenge the listeners, is it's either one, we address the change, like, accept it, face it, think about it, work it out in all of our good, or we avoid the change. And then sometimes when we avoid the change, the organization or the movement or the group moves on without us. And that's the sad part. Then we've lost our leadership influence because we've decided to, kind of stick our head in the sand like an ostrich, with that analogy.
Now, I think we need to clarify.
Okay.
Just because we're changing doesn't necessarily mean we're growing.
Ooh, I like that.
Right? You could change something and never really grow your organization or expand it into anything else. So if you were counseling a leader that is thinking about making a change, what would you have them consider to say, this is just a change, or this is a change that's going to help us grow into a new area? What should they be thinking about to make sure, hey, I'm not just rearranging the furniture. I have a purpose behind what I'm doing.
It's a really great question. I think what I would share from my own leadership journey, and maybe others will assimilate with it, sometimes change, unfortunately, is put on us, and we begrudgingly accept it, but we don't use it.
That's good. Yep.
We don't use it. Yep. And I've been around other leaders doing some consulting or coaching, et cetera, and I've found when they face change, sometimes they wish to change to control more. So it's a tool to kind of be the leader with a few more pieces of the puzzle, whereas the healthy ones who have great interaction and engagement with their teammates and associates, they not only evaluate the change, but they're also saying, I don't know what the end will be, but it will be better because we're going to use this change for the good,
right,
not use this change for what did we lose. Yep. I think that would be the summary of your question.
And I think, Jim Collins in his book, Good to Great, he talks about when you attempt to do something as an organization, that when you're done, you have an autopsy.
Yeah.
But an autopsy without blame. You're not trying to say, all right, well, here's who killed the project or here's where this thing went wrong. Right. You're just trying to say, okay, this didn't go. We tried something new. It didn't go like we thought that it was going to go. So there's got to be some lessons that we can learn from that we can take away from that. So I think that if people will go into a season of change with that thought of, I may learn something on the other side. I'm certainly not going to learn anything just sitting still. I may learn something on the other side that's going to help us go farther, or I may learn something to say, I'm not going to do that again.
Right.
And so now I'm a little bit more aware. The next time I'm going to try something, I can say, okay, well, not this. So let's try this.
I think for leaders where they wish to be relevant, they embrace the change, but you don't do it recklessly. I think that's the caution I've learned the hard way is you don't do it quick and not think about it, right, or you don't tell people we're going to go through change. You go together with it and you communicate, and it's little by little. It's not a 180 next day.
Sure.
I think the problem for some people is fear of losing something.
Yes.
And fear comes into the change and the adaptability, and I think there's plenty of great statistics on fear and, what are you afraid of? And whether it's, death or, whatever it is, it's, or fear of failure or being uncomfortable. People really do. I'll use an example. You see a 4-inch heel on a woman. You're like, they don't look comfortable, but they look good. We don't know if she just put them on to walk 100 feet into the event or the conference, and then her feet are going to, like barking dogs at night. Yeah. So, but they do it for, sort of it's the look, it's the how the leader should do. But I think the whole heels, the feet are uncomfortable. We really do like comfortable. You've got a zip sweatshirt on, it's comfortable. I've got one of the iron sharpens iron t-shirts. It's very comfortable. It's a soft cotton. I wouldn't do the prickly cotton. It's not comfortable. Right. But sometimes you have to go through that to get to to get to the better. And I didn't know about the soft cotton 5 years ago because they didn't have it. but now they have it, and it's pretty much the only T-shirt I want to buy. So you'll want to look, who makes that one?
Right.
And I think for leaders, when they see others fighting change, that's our challenge as leaders, right? Is not just to lead, but to be with others in change. I think reassurances in change are critical. How I've seen it played out for my leadership life, that you make it achievable, acceptable, approvable, not like, hey, we're going to change our forms and our policies and compliance again.
Yeah.
That's, you make it a good thing. We're all going to do this together, not I'm changing your department and I'm going to control it now. That's not a good change.
No.
That's not delivered well.
And again, I mean, you talked about, we're talking about growth mindset. I think that when we change things to control more, that's really a scarcity mindset.
Yes.
And we want to switch that to an abundance. That there's a lot to go around.
Oh.
One more thing I want to pick your brain on before we wrap this episode up. When change takes place, talk a little bit about the partnership between the person that it was be like the point leader or the senior leader, with them initiating change versus the team, like coming to the leader and saying, here's a change that we would like you to consider. Talk about that dynamic of that partnership. Like, how much is it just the senior leader going to the team, hey, this is the change, let's go? How much is of it is the team coming to the senior leader saying, we'd like to make a change, would you consider doing this? What's the partnership dynamics there?
I think depending on your fellow leadership team members, organizations that I've consulted through my career, and it's been a blessing to be around, great people and great organizations. One of the things that I've learned from helping people change, whether it's the person or the company, is that there has to be other change agents on the team. Mm-hmm. So you have a dictatorial change element, or you have a delegation, dedication to the team change. Sure. I've found 11 out of 10. Is that possible? Is that Chicago math? Chicago math.
That's good math. Yeah.
It's good math, Chicago math. 11 out of 10 times I've found the delegation or dedication to the team about change, like they come. The defensiveness of a leader about change, if someone brought it to them, like a team, that usually is a bad sign for the leader.
Yep.
But for the team to be sprung on change ideas or what's going to be taken away or what we're going to try now, I think they're really interested in, are you in this with us?
Yes.
Or are you telling us to do this?
Right.
Like, almost a hypocrisy question. You're going to make us change, but will you too?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I think it does when the more that you can get the team to buy in, and I don't really think it's an either or, right?
No.
It's not the senior leader saying it or the team saying it. It's really a both and. Everybody's got it. Otherwise, it's not really a team.
No, I think one of the things that I have learned the hard way, which of course I didn't do it well every time, that's for sure, is trust is involved with change.
Yes.
So I think that's a real big thing from a leadership trait, to exude like a trust emotion on the team. I didn't even know this. We'll finish with one of these funny ones. But so, phobias are like fear of whatever. There is a fear of newness. I did not know that. Now, I love spring. You go outside, you kind of smell the air and the dirt's starting to come alive and your grass is starting to get green. You're thinking, I'm going to sharpen my lawnmower blades. I'm ready to go. Yeah. It's kind of a fun time. Particularly if you hunker down in the northern part of America, so you just got a snow shovel now. But neophobia, and it is a growing change, particularly when people feel that they don't control or they don't have input. And as a leader, I think that's our challenge. Give them input, get them around the table with you. Or if you're a leader and your leader isn't, that's a great recommendation, is to make sure you invite us with you. Don't you be the dictatorial change guy or gal. It really is about, hey, invite us in.
Yeah, I think the phobia comes in when people feel out of control.
Yeah.
So you can, as a leader, you have a say in that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the comments that you've given us and the input. That's what helps drive the conversation that we're going to have here, is when you talk back to us a little bit and say, I like that, elaborate on it a little bit more, or would you talk about this? So Maximize Podcast on Twitter. You can comment on the YouTube video below, and we want to be able to interact with you and be able to respond to the kind of changes that you're looking at making or questions that you have. That's what our passion is. We'd also encourage you to go to our website as well and check out some of the resources there. And if you're interested in really taking your leadership to the next level, we have a special link on there for our coaching huddles. And if you want to check those out, we are taking applications for those now for our next huddles. And that's where we'll really start challenging you and sharpening your iron, right?
I like it.
So that we can get you to the next level. So we look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks for joining us.
Get in touch with Craig and Greg through Twitter at Maximize Podcast or at MaximizeLeadership.com. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes of The Craig and Greg Show.